Welcome back. This is the third and last installment of the Erikson module, clips. We left off the second clip by looking generally at the structure of this psychosocial inventory of ego strength, also known as PIES. We saw that there are 8 ego strength against the 8 developmental stages and psychosocial conflicts predicted by Erikson. We also saw that each and every one has 2 themes that are 2 aspects of the ego strength, and they are measured, each theme is measured by 4 questions, and some of the questions are measuring the what is called the antipathy, meaning the opposite of that theme. So if, for example, a person has an ego strength of hope, the antipathy would be to measure hopelessness. As I said, your task is to take this questionnaire and apply it to Catalea and ask yourself each and every question as if you were she. For example, when I think about the future, I feel optimistic. How optimistic is she? How would she answer this question? No matter how bad things get, I'm confident they will get better. Again, how would she answer? Now, in order to do that, you will need to know the scoring. To go for the score, for the general structure of the score, we're going back to the method section. And here we read that you have to score it from 1 that does not describe me well to 5 describes me very well. And this is what we call a Likert scale, meaning only integers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from 1 to 5, how well does it describe you? And we will talk a little bit later about the negative phrase. So going back to the inventory, you are answering for Catalea. When I think about the future, I feel optimistic. From 1 to 5. 1 doesn't describe me at all, to 5 describes me very well. What would Catalea say? Remember, it is not so much about getting it right or wrong. It's about getting you to think. There aren't really a right or wrong answers, although I'm sure that most of you would agree that Catalea is somebody with tremendous capacities, with tremendous force that make her, of course, extremely resilient. But really, any answer would qualify and would be accepted if it is justified and if you put some thoughts into it. So we know the questions, we know how to score them. Now, how are we going about it? I created this Excel sheet that will help you with the task. It first lists the item number in the article. You see here 8, 39, 26, 42. These are numbers that are taken from the larger pool of items from which this questionnaire was chosen. So what researchers do, they write a whole lot of items and then give them to people, and they see which one makes more sense, which one people understand more reliably, and what not. And these are their numbers. From my experience, if you don't write the number from the article, then the item number becomes an intractable. Corresponding to those numbers, you will create the running item number from, in this case, 1 to 8. So 8, 39, 26 will be here, 42, 15, 32, 44, 58 are here, and they are corresponding to 1 through 8. Then you are writing your score. When I think of the future, I feel optimistic. What would Catalea say? Let's say for very simplistic reasons that we give it 5, meaning it's very much like her. No matter how bad I feel confident they will get better. Let's say she is, totally mastered the ego strength of hope, and she gets 5 here too. The third question, I'm only setting myself up for disappointment by looking forward to things in the future. Definitely, it is not true for her. She's making very extravagant plans for the future, including killing each and every one of the people who might have been connected with those who hurt her. So that is definitely not her. So this is one. And so on and so forth. Importantly, you will have here a column called reverse code. So as you can see here, there is no minus. Here there is no minus, and here there is a minus to denote a reverse score. So here you would say no, no, and yes. What are we doing with those reverse scores? Well, if there is no reverse score, then the score is the final score. That will be 5. Same here, 5. However, if there is a reverse scoring, then the final score will be equal 6 minus the score. It will be 5. It will be 5 because if it is not at all like me on a negatively phrased item, it is very much like me on the positively phrased item. Again, if it were 2, it will turn into 4, and so on and so forth. What you will have, you will continue it, of course. I mean, naturally, the next stage will be to do the will. The ego strength of will. So we will have here 19, 33, 27, 54, 2, 63, 4, 36, which will be corresponding to 9, 10, 11, and the like. And just remember the reverse score. Now, for the hope, and this will be, of course, will. For the hope, the total score will be, of course, the sum of the final scores of each of the items. Right? So I did the sum of all these. Similarly, the sum for the will be this. You may use the Excel sum function if you are familiar with it, or just do it by hand. That will be fine. In the end, all you will have to submit is your score in a table form. And the best way to do it is just to write, and you can do it in any text editor, hope, and then you are putting will, and that's the final score that you got here. I may need from you the individual items for discussion in class if some abnormalities arise, but on the whole, this is what you will have to submit. The rest of the instructions, how to discuss the points after you submit them, you will get in writing. Good luck, and I'll see you in 1 week. Take care.